In a world obsessed with noise, with glitter, drama, and endless applause, there is one place where silence still wins. Ireland, a land where the quiet life isn't a retreat, but a quiet, ancient power. Tonight, we slip into the soft Irish dusk, where the wind carries more truth than any speech, and where a simple life holds more weight than all the showmanship the world worships. If you've ever wondered why the Irish lean toward the humble, the modest, the steady, prepare to step into a story woven through generations. Chapter 1: The Ancestral Echo of Humility. To understand the Irish love for simplicity, you must first step back, far back, into the long shadow of their history. Ireland is a land shaped as much by struggle as by poetry and rain. For centuries, the island endured waves of invasion, political domination, religious pressure, famine that hollowed out entire generations, and social systems designed to shrink the Irish spirit. In times like these, standing out was not a luxury, it was a risk. Visibility could attract attention, and attention could attract trouble. So people learned a different way of living: quiet, deliberate, almost invisible when needed. Families survived by blending in, by keeping their triumphs humble and their sorrows private. There was wisdom in softness, safety in modesty, and dignity in choosing calm over noise. A man who boasted could have his livelihood taken. A family that flaunted could lose what little they had. So Irish people learned to treasure what couldn't be seized: character, kindness, community, and endurance. They carried themselves lightly, as if moving with the weather, never pushing too hard, never drawing the eye unless absolutely necessary. Their homes were simple, their gatherings warm rather than extravagant, and their pride lived quietly in the small, sturdy things. A knitted sweater lasting a decade, a well-tended hearth, a story told by firelight that held more truth than any speech shouted from a stage. Over generations, this survival instinct did more than protect them. It shaped them. It wove humility into the national fabric, layer by layer, until it became a defining trait. Not the humility of defeat, but the humility of people who learned that loudness is often a mask for emptiness, and that strength grows best in silence. Mothers passed the lesson to their children, not with lectures, but with daily rituals, sharing what little they had, thanking the land for its small offerings, helping neighbors without fanfare, and keeping one's ego in check. Even when life finally grew kinder, fathers taught it through example, doing their work with steady hands, not bragging, not comparing, just contributing to the world in the most honest way they could. The message was simple, but powerful: stay grounded, stay grateful, stay close to what matters. And so the Irish spirit developed its own texture: gentle, alert, introspective, the kind of spirit that notices the shift in the wind, the crack in a neighbor's voice, the importance of a small kindness, done with no expectation in return. This is why the Irish have little patience for unnecessary showmanship. They know, deep in their bones, that life is precious and fragile and far too real to be wasted on artificial grandeur. Simplicity isn't a trend for them. It's an inheritance, a quiet crown passed through centuries, forged from resilience, softened by compassion, and carried with pride that never needs to be spoken aloud. Chapter 2: The Poetry in Everyday Living. The Irish see beauty where others see routine, where someone else might glance and move on. An Irish heart pauses, listens, and lets the moment breathe. Everyday life here is not something to escape from. It is something to be steeped in, like tea settling into warm water, where another person sees ordinary life. The Irish see a quiet miracle unfolding. A kettle humming softly on the stove is not merely preparation for tea. It is a familiar song, a whisper of comfort that fills the room. Before a single cup is poured, it carries the promise that no matter how difficult the day may be, there will always be time to sit, to talk, to rest. A farmer watching the clouds isn't just checking the weather. He is reading the sky, the way others read books, interpreting subtle shifts in wind, in color, in the scent of rain drifting closer. This attentiveness is its own form of poetry, born from centuries of living in rhythm with the land. It is the knowledge that nature is not an interruption to life, but the foundation of it. A grandmother folding linens to the rhythm of an old folk tune is doing something far deeper than a household chore. She is weaving memory into the fabric, honoring the women before her, who hum the same tunes and smooth the same corners. In that simple act, entire histories are preserved, quietly, gently, with hands that know the stories, even if they do not speak them aloud. Then there is the walk, along a quiet country road, lined with stone walls, older than memory. Every stone was lifted by someone once, placed with intention, carried with effort. The road itself holds generations of footsteps, farmers, lovers, wanderers, children, all moving through the same landscape, all adding their breath to the same air. To walk there is to feel the weight of centuries soften into stillness. These moments do not crave attention. They already contain their own magic. Irish culture teaches that life doesn't need to be loud to be meaningful. Meaning grows best in the soft places, the in-between spaces, the pauses where the world slows, just enough for you to hear your own soul again. The most sacred things are often the smallest. A warm welcome at the door, given not out of politeness, but genuine care. A shared meal, simple yet hearty, reminding everyone at the table that nourishment is both physical and emotional. A story told by firelight, on a rainy evening, not polished for performance, but spoken from the heart, shaped by laughter, silence, and the flicker of flames. This is why simplicity thrives here, not because life is easy, but because life is cherished. Simplicity strips away the noise, so the softness of life can rise to the surface, clear, warm, and undeniably human. Chapter 3: Why Showmanship Feels Empty Here. Ireland has always valued authenticity over performance. It is a place where people look past the surface, almost instinctively, as though the ability to read a person's truth is carried in the blood. In a land shaped by hardship, where stories mattered more than status, and where community meant survival, pretense has never had fertile soil to grow. The Irish can sense pretense, like a change in the weather, just as they know when rain is coming. Before a single drop falls, they can feel insincerity, in a tone of voice, in a glance held a little too long, or in words polished too brightly. It isn't judgment, it's intuition, honed over centuries of reading both people and landscapes with equal care. Showmanship, flashiness, bragging, self-promotion, feels hollow in a culture built on sincerity and emotional honesty. The Irish don't dislike confidence. They dislike performance masquerading as substance. They know the difference between someone who has lived a real story and someone trying to sell one. The former draws respect. The latter draws a quiet, knowing smile. Here, you gain respect, not by impressing people, but by being real with them. Conversations are valued for their truthfulness, not their theatrics. A person who speaks plainly is admired more than someone who speaks beautifully but says nothing. It's not about charm, it's about character. In Ireland, someone modest is seen as trustworthy. There is a steadiness to humility that makes people feel safe around you. It tells them you are comfortable in your skin, that you don't need to inflate yourself to be worthy of attention. It signals integrity. And in this culture, integrity is worth more than any show of success. Someone loud, however, is often seen as suspicious, not because the Irish dislike strong personalities. They don't, but because loudness can be a mask, a way to hide insecurity, a way to demand validation instead of earning it. Volume is not the same as confidence, and the Irish are very good at telling them apart. Someone trying too hard is met with quiet amusement, not unkind, but gently humorous. There is something almost endearing about watching a person strain for admiration in a place that values ease, humility, and the art of being simply oneself. A flashy life burns fast. It dazzles for a moment, then disappears like a spark in the dark. But a simple life, a life grounded in community, routine, kindness, and inner steadiness, burns slow, warm, and steady. And the Irish prefer steady. They know applause fades, but character remains. They know the spotlight moves on, but a person's truth stays with them forever. In Ireland, it is not how brightly you shine that defines you, but how quietly you glow when no one is watching. Chapter 4: Community runs deeper than spotlight. Ireland is not an individualistic society. It never has been. It is a woven tapestry of people, neighbors, cousins, childhood friends, and the friend of a friend, who, through some mysterious Irish alchemy, slowly becomes family. without anyone noticing when it happened. In many Irish towns, you don't rise alone. You rise with your community. Your achievements ripple outward. Your joys are shared. Your victories feel communal. And in the same way, you don't embarrass yourself alone either. You embarrass everyone with you. Your aunt, your neighbor, your teacher from primary school, who still remembers the way you held your pencil. This interconnectedness creates a net that catches people, sometimes softly, sometimes with a stern word, but always with a sense of belonging. Because of this, Ireland has a different relationship with the idea of standing out. It's not feared, but it's not worshipped either. Here, showing off isn't just frowned upon. It feels unnecessary, like wearing a spotlight in a room already lit by warmth. In a culture built on community, attention is not currency. Care is. Presence is. Being someone others can rely on matters far more than being someone others are impressed by. Why seek attention when you already belong? Belonging means your place is secure, no matter how quietly you move. You don't need to advertise your worth, because the people around you already know it. They've seen you grow, seen you stumble, seen you laugh until your shoulders shake. You are known, and that is worth more than applause. Why chase recognition when you already have connection? Recognition is fleeting, but connection is steady. It's built on shared meals, shared work, shared grief, shared celebrations that spill into the night. It's the comfort of knowing that if you are in trouble, someone will knock on your door before you even ask for help. This sense of communal identity is woven into Irish life in a way that makes loneliness feel unnatural and bragging feel out of place. The Irish understand that the quiet life isn't about avoiding the world. It's about choosing the world that truly matters. The people who stand with you, the ones who remember you, the ones who greet you by name and not by status. It's about staying close to the people who make life worth living, the ones who turn ordinary days into shared stories, shared laughter, and a shared understanding that no one shines alone here, because the light belongs to everyone. Chapter 5. The Quiet Life as Quiet Power. The louder the world becomes, the more the Irish lean into stillness. While modern life races forward, all speed, spectacle, and ceaseless noise, Ireland seems to step sideways into a gentler rhythm, where breathing comes easier, and the soul is allowed to settle. This isn't passivity, it's resistance, a soft rebellion, a deliberate choice, not to be swept up in the frenzy. In a world that rewards shouting, the Irish choose whispering. In a culture obsessed with visibility, they choose depth. This is not avoidance, it is preservation. In Ireland, simplicity is a shield, not a shield that hardens, but one that softens. It protects mental peace by filtering out what doesn't matter. It keeps emotions grounded, so feelings don't spin into chaos. It creates space, the kind of space where reflection grows roots, where storytelling blooms, and where genuine connection can stretch out its arms and breathe. When life is quiet, the heart has room to understand itself. It learns its own rhythm, without imitation, without comparison. Quiet living allows the heart to breathe, without rushing, without performing, without pretending. It offers a kind of inner spaciousness that so much of the modern world has forgotten how to hold. And in that spaciousness, the Irish spirit speaks truths the world often overlooks. I don't need the spotlight to know my worth. Worth here is not measured in applause, but in how kindly one lives, how faithfully one loves, how honestly one walks through the world. I don't need noise to feel alive. Life is found in the small things. A soft rain on the window, a conversation that lingers, the quiet certainty that you are exactly where you should be. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. There is power in this realization, a power that settles deep, far beneath the layers of ego and performance. It is the freedom that comes from not chasing validation, from not competing for attention, from not forcing life to be louder than it naturally is. This is quiet power, the kind that doesn't announce itself, doesn't demand to be noticed, and yet shapes entire generations. With grace, this power moves like water, soft but unstoppable, subtle but enduring. It holds families together, keeps communities warm, and passes through time in the form of values, stories, and gentle strength. And that is why the Irish stay simple in a world that's forgotten how. Not because they are behind the times, but because they carry a wisdom the times desperately need. So if you ever find yourself wandering across Irish fields, while evening settles like a soft blanket, you'll understand the truth. A quiet life isn't smaller. It's deeper. It's wiser. It's the sound of a people who learned that peace is the greatest luxury in a noisy world. If this whispered journey touched your spirit, let it linger. Tap like, leave a thought in the comments, and subscribe for more stories told in the hush of night, where truth speaks softly and echoes long after the screen goes dark.